Well, I'd like to use this G-Code Plus design drawing to illustrate how you might handle relatively large sites. I'm using an example from the US, and it's a design for an expansion to an existing recreational vehicle park. It's a relatively large site. If I take our distance tool and measure from one side of the site to the other, it's 420 odd units, and everything is drawn in decimal feet, so that's about 450 by roughly square, I think, about 380 feet. What I will do is change my background colour to white so that you can see the design a little easier, and that's done with view and background colour to white. We'd normally draw with a background colour that's dark because the white background tends to pull your eyes a little. It's a bit softer on your eyes with a darker background. So here you see the site as it will be printed. Notice here that there's the length of, say, this boundary of the site, 168 feet here. If I select that, and there's another measure here, 173, and I pick it, notice in the properties box it's a piece of text. It's not a dimension. And if we come over here to the right hand side, here 344, and does that refer, or what does it actually refer to? And to make things a little clearer, we would recommend that you take dimensions from the site and put those dimensions on their own layer. It serves as a double check. So let's see how we might do that. As a first step, I might set the current layer to a dimension layer. So now any dimension we apply will go on that layer. That makes further manipulation just a little easier. Let's just try taking a dimension from the design by picking the linear dimension tool, and we're asked for this first extension line origin. We want to know the length from the bottom of the site to the top of the site, and we're told that it's 344. And we click and move away, and if we zoom in here, see we get the 344, but we get a comma 0, which I imagine, and including the arrow size and offset, is not quite the way we want to present that dimension. What I'd recommend is that you create a known dimension style, and to do that it's dimension style, and we're going to make a new one, and we'll call this regional planners, the name of our supposed company. And let's now edit and change the preferences, and that's done with dimensions again, dimension styles, regional planners. We make that the current one, and we'll go to units, and we'll change the unit format to architectural. We'll change the precision to just 0 feet and 0 inches. We'll make the decimal separator the period, round off, make that 0.4, and for a measurement scale, because there are 12 inches in a foot, we put that on, and we'll change the text height. I've made some further changes to that dimension style, and now things are working the way I want. I'll just double check and do another one from that endpoint there. We want 212 feet to show, and there we are, 212 feet 0 inches. We've got a nice offset and the extension line extends on, but that looks maybe a little too high in terms of its text. So let's go back again to MS, making sure you click the list. We're editing and changing this one. Come into text. Our text style is standard, the height 6. Let's bring it down to 5, or just drop that a little, as you saw. So I'm happy now that we are checking our design, taking the dimensions directly from the model, and because we were putting all the dimensions onto a layer, we can easily put layer 0 on and turn the dimension layer off. So I like to do that sort of check. It certainly improves things. Well, it's now time to present the design, so let's go to Layout. I'll just go to the Layouts Manager and see it's called Layout 1. We could give it a more meaningful name, but it's a B4 size sheet for this presentation in the US. Now, the intention is that the scale, the presentation sheet on this B2 sheet, will be at a scale of 1 inch equals 40 feet. And we want to do that, go to Modify and choose Set Fixed Scale. The prompt says pick the viewport, and I've made the viewport colour a light grey, so we can select it. We're then asked, are we working in imperial or in metric? So we'll say imperial. And now, what scale do we want? Now, 1 inch to 12 feet is, there are 12 inches in a foot, so it's 40 times 12, 1 to 480. And you can see that I've been rehearsing that. So let's just change it to 1 over 384 and hit enter. Can you see the display is not appropriate? We want a bigger scale, so we can right click and set that one again, pick it, and imperial 1 over 480 and hit enter, and I'll click away. And there's our A2 sheet, our B2 sheet, ready to print. And we might at this stage change the colour here back to white, so white on a white background of course won't plot. Unselect all. You might want to dress this up with, say, a border. We'll draw a rectangle. We'll give the rectangle, put its colour away from by layer to, let's say, colour 250. We'll make it a thicker line, make it a 0.4 thickness. I'll just check the setting for the line weight. The default is 0.25, or in inches 0.0, so we can apply that. You might even want to put a corner radius, maybe 10 units, and we click away there now. Line weight is on. If we just zoom in here, can you see we've got a relatively thick border around the logo, and then the nicely contained border around the whole design. So there we are. We can print that onto our B2 sheet. Although here we've been very careful with our layout, making sure that all lines are labelled accurately. We've done a double check by taking dimensions from the model. I do recommend that you put some sort of scale bar in. So here we want a 50-foot scale bar. Notice those little crosses at each length interval. If I come back to the model and pick the detail there and edit that block, let's just grab one of those so it's a point. So the designer of the block has used point markers, and they are a bit annoying. Let's close the block editor and go to Format and Point Styles, and we'll just say the points are now not going to show, and they disappear. So putting the point marker in is very important. Let's just check again, pick the distance tool. What's the length from the beginning of that scale bar to the end? It should be 50 feet, and in fact it is. So we're pretty confident now about all aspects of this design.